And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Welcome into RBLR Bucs here on RBLR Sports. Musab here with you. And the most fired up I've been in a while, I'll tell you that. July is about to wave us goodbye, and now it's time to say hello to our friend Mr. August and his two amazing homies, the pre and regular season. Well, hit that siren because the homies of RBLR Bucs have just pulled up in their matching creamsicle orange peg legs. Let's bring some energy to this discussion tonight, gents. Mr. Santiago, I got one question for you. Are you ready?
Matey, yes, I am ready. Musab, how you doing? What's up, RBLR Nation? What's going on? Man, we're super close to that, NFL football. That's what we love. That's what we breathe, I can't wait to talk about some Bucs football. Let's go, Bucs. Super excited about this show, like always.
As always, I appreciate the energy, Santiago. And for the last piece of this iconic trio, Sir Carter, are you ready?
I am ready. Oh man, yeah, I'm just ready to talk some Bucs sports. Definitely excited for this week, like you mentioned, training camp. Definitely living lavish, ready for this regular season to get started. So yeah, let's get cracking for sure.
Love it. I love it. And a quick reminder to check out Creative Loafing whenever you can, especially because my friend Mr. Carter Brandley here is a freelance writer for them. And a friendly reminder for our listeners and fans, show some love and hit that like and subscribe button for us, will ya? And hey, social media kings and queens, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at RBLR Sports. Well, gentlemen, let's just get right into it. It has been an interesting week for sure when it comes to all this Buccaneers news that's coming out. We got two kind of big updates or two additions, and I first want to start off with Mr. Kyle Rudolph. All right. Overall thoughts, Carter and Santiago. Obviously, let's be honest with the whole kind of Gronk news coming out. Everyone was like, okay, well, let's see what we have. We got a bunch of new guys, and then on top of that, we got Cameron Brate, which I guess at the time we were thinking, all right, well, this is his spotlight. But just wait. We got Kyle Rudolph in the house. So overall thoughts / what kind of impact does this have on the rest of the tight end room?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the Bucs had drafted two tight ends in the draft. O'Keefe his spot's a little more up in the air. Just because he was drafted a little later in the draft in the 6th round. Kyle Rudolph's obviously they didn't sign him just to sit the bench. But him and Cameron Brate are definitely going to be exciting to watch. That's going to be a really interesting position battle. Because while Cameron Brate likely had the starting role going into the season before the Kyle Rudolph signing, now it's kind of more up in the air. So yeah, I'm excited. Rudolph brings a certain pedigree. He definitely brings a big body to the offense, a red zone threat. So it'll be interesting. But what about y'all? How are y'all feeling about the tight end room after the Rudolph signing?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's we need another veteran to show the rookies what it is to be an NFL tight end. Kyle Rudolph. College he came from was Notre Dame, and he started off with the Vikings, and pretty much majority of his career. Then he went to the Giants. Now he's with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he's with us in the sunshine. And Tom Brady called him up and said, "Hey, we need you down here," and he said, "All right, I'm on my way." So it's him and Cameron Brate, two veterans, and they're gonna I like to have, that, what is it? It's like a good pairing, so they can battle it out. So, yeah, what do you think about Musab? What do you think about Kyle Rudolph?
Well, first of all, man, I wish one day that Tom Brady calls me and says, hey, come on down, Musab, because you best believe I'm going to say yes. But, hey, on the real, though, I'm happy. I'm really happy with this. Carter, as you were saying, now with him kind of being on our team, the starting kind of role is definitely up in the air. I think each of those guys brings something to the table. But what I like about him is just, again, experience. Preseason and regular season are starting soon. So, you just got to make the best out of it. I feel like, we were able to take advantage and snag a guy like him. He's a big dude indeed. Obviously, I just said, all that experience. I think Brady's going to have a good time with him as an option, especially in the end zone. And again, Carter, you were saying, I mean, this guy is definitely someone you want to be looking out for, especially in the red zone. They don't call him Rudolph the red zone reindeer for no reason. But on top of that, guys, there's a side of me that always thinks that it's like, I don't know, for me, and tell me what y'all think, but for me, it's like Brait is like, it's like sometimes he's about to get the chance, but he doesn't. And I was actually talking to my buddy, and he goes, Musab, Brait is like the bridesmaid, but never the bride. He seems to have these measurables and all these kind of abilities about being a good tight end, but it's like every year, sometimes he's unfortunately cast aside just because there's just someone else there who can, also ball out just as much as him. So, sure, people say that, okay, well, I mean, I think Brait still has it, / maybe this is Kyle's show. Again, this isn't like prime Kyle Rudolph, so it's not like, oh my gosh, this is kind of like a lock in the bag or whatever. But once he finds those right opportunities with Tom Brady, I think it's going to work out real well. / it's always good having a veteran presence as well, especially with these young guys that we're snagging. So kind of a futuristic move / a good move to have made, right before the preseason and regular season. But kind of any other kind of thoughts about this? So, Carter, you're saying it's more at least up in the air, but Santiago, for you, I don't know, maybe you've already expressed it, but, what are your kind of thoughts about this? You think it's at least going to start out as a 50-50 role, or you think we're still going to start out with maybe one of these guys a little bit more than the other and just see kind of how it works out throughout the season?
To be honest with you, they have to play for the position right now at camp, So it's not, even though Cameron Bray has been here a longer time, it's not about veteran seniorship, in the locker room. I don't believe. And, because, Kyle Rudolph has been in the NFL for a very long time. So, I want the best tight end to be on the field. And if it's, and whoever's performing at that top level, we would love to have Gronk back, but he's not coming back, and, because he was he was unbelievable weapon, and, he helped us get to, scored 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. So when we won our second Super Bowl, but yeah, talking about these 2 athletes here, man, I want the best one to be out there. So I cannot put a favoritism on one or the other. I want both to compete.
Absolutely. I would love to see them both compete. And then I guess I'm wondering, maybe back to you, Carter, real quick. I mean, you mentioned we got K. Dotton and Cole Keefe. I mean, do you think one of these guys will kind of be like a maybe role player, just here and there we throw him kind of third stringer, or do you really just think it's just going to be the Brait and Rudolph show? And just because, I don't know, we're up by a bunch / we're down by a bunch, we're like, all right, Co, or all right, Cade, go ahead and go on in. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, I think the last little mention that you had is probably how they're going to operate. Cam and Kyle are both, they're not super expensive, but they are getting paid a little bit of a chunk of change. And so, it's probably going to be a 2-man battle for the starting role, but it is nice to have some youth on the bench. Maybe they'll store Keefe on the practice squad. Maybe K-Dot will be the third string guy. I don't know. We'll see how camp goes. But yeah, like you said, Cameron Brait and Kyle Rudolph are definitely the 2 head honchos, so to speak, moving forward. It'll definitely be interesting to see who wins the battle, or if maybe, like you said, Musab, they go for more of a 50-50 thing, kind of a starter by committee sort of deal. But I don't know. I mean, definitely a quality signing, though. I'm very excited to see how Rudolph does. Like you said, Rudolph, the red zone reindeer, how he does in the Bucs uniforms.
Yeah, it's a dope nickname for sure. And guys, from the top of my head, I don't know what his nickname is, but listeners, you should know in case you haven't already. I mean, it's some big news. we have now acquired the legend, the one and only Julio Jones. All right. This guy used to be a division rival, but now he's on the dark side, aka with the Buccaneers. This was big. Okay. This was like, oh wow. And it came out of nowhere. I remember I still where I was very vividly. I was standing outside Trader Joe's when I got the news, and I was like, wow, this was like, oh my gosh. So you kind of heard my overall immediate feeling, but Santiago Carter, I mean, what was your kind of overall thoughts slash what does this mean for our team slash especially the wide receiver room? Oh my God, we got Godwin, Evans, Russell Gage, and now Julio Jones and the rest of our guys for sure. But let's be honest, these are definitely the big four that we're talking about right now. So thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, it's a huge amount of weapons for Tom Brady. I was actually talking to a friend about this the other day. What I'm curious is, does this signing mean that maybe Chris Godwin's not progressing as much as they'd like? I mean, they brought in Russell Gage, so maybe they're saying, all right, well, we're going to have to kind of be without Godwin for maybe the first half of the season, which is tough. But, coming off an ACL injury is definitely no easy feat for anyone. But luckily, this is all just hearsay, and Chris Godwin's going to be back on time. And, they get to run Evans, Julio Jones, and Chris Godwin, which is kind of ridiculous. But, yeah, Russell Gage, I feel for him because, now he's kind of the fourth man, like you said. But he's getting paid a hefty chunk of change to be the fourth man on a really good team. So, yeah, very exciting news. Julio obviously brings a huge pedigree. Super athletic, just kind of a monster. Yeah, but also another important thing to realize is now the Bucs have like 8 wide receivers that could be on an NFL roster anywhere. So, where does this leave Scotty Miller? Where does this leave Tyler Johnson? Where does this leave Rashard Perriman? Where does it leave Cyril Grayson, Jalen Dart? There's just so many guys in that room. So, someone's got to go. Someone's got to get cut. You can't carry 8 wide receivers on a team. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. It kind of seems... Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how training camp plays out and how this roster gets adjusted following this move. But how do y'all feel about it? Y'all are obviously excited, but Santiago, you think Julio plays a factor, or how are you feeling?
Well, I honestly feel that, let's hope he stays healthy, right? I mean, when he was recently with Tennessee, he got injured. So, we definitely don't want him to be, prone, out there. We want him to be fit. You know what I'm saying? That's the main thing. He's not going to be playing in the dome anymore up in Atlanta or in the cold in Tennessee. He's down here in the humidity in Florida, in Tampa Bay. So, obviously, yeah, it sounds like the 4 horsemen, like the top 4 wide receivers. Yeah, you got Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin. I mean, God, Brashard, it's unbelievable. And yeah, like what Carter just said right now, maybe we're going to, possibly, we're going to have to cut somebody. And it's, if they're not up to par, Russell Gage, that we just recently signed him. Also, Russell Gage came from Atlanta, obviously Julio Jones was up in the Falcons in the Atlanta, the Falcons organization for his whole career until he was traded to Tennessee. So, he wants to win. Julio Jones is here. Why? Because he wants to win the Super Bowl. He wants to, they were asking the question today about, hey, do you remember that? Yeah, he's like, I don't want to talk about that. You know why? Because he's like, in his mentality, in his mind, he's like, I'm going to win the Super Bowl with the GOAT. So, yeah, it's super exciting. I'm super, super stoked. And, for him to wear that pewter red and then the creamsicles and everything like that, man, this year's schedule, yeah, we have the 4th toughest schedule, but guess what? Now with Julio Jones there, teams are going to be nervous. They're going to be scared of us. So, just bring it. I cannot wait to just go out there and just dominate, our division. And then also, we can dominate some of these other opponents that are not in our division. So, I still believe that we can make it like about 11 to a 12 game winning season. So, I mean, yeah, and then be first place in our division and play for a championship. So I'm super stoked. Let's go Bucs, baby.
Yeah, no, I saw a little bit of him getting in some action on the field right now today, and yeah, I mean that got me stoked as well. What I do say is, listen, I think he'll do just fine as long as he stays healthy, of course, just like every other one of our stars. But I guess I just want to know maybe is he maybe going to have a more of a little bit of a limited role so his chances of staying healthy increase, or we're still gonna use him as much as we think we need to. Do you think it's just gonna be like, all right, let's kind of just use you for here and there? I feel like that was kind of like the impression I was getting from like Giovanni Bernard. I was like, okay, we got this like smart signing, from a veteran. He can have some presence. He can help us out here and there. Now, obviously, I mean, that's the running back and this is the wide receiver, of course, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to be putting up big stats, but I think he's going to be definitely dominating and annihilating, opponents as more of a possession kind of guy, red zone target. He's big. He's a big dog, and I think he actually might snag some of those kind of like Rob Gronkowski kind of plays as well. He might get on that action. So as y'all were saying, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, even with our young wide receiver core, I mean, we got a big room indeed. We're going to have to make some cuts. And it just makes me think, wow, I mean, it's looking pretty good right now. And I'm curious to see, what happens. But this was definitely big. It got me fired up for sure. And it's exciting. I mean, yeah, this is Julio Jones we're talking about, guys. So, yeah, that's kind of all I really had to say. But Carter and Santiago, I mean, yeah, I guess. Do you think he might have like a limited role? As you were saying, Carter, Russell Gage kind of feels like a little out of the equation now, or do you think that's kind of just a little bit like, no, let's just see how it works out? We got some tricks up our sleeves.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be just kind of a feeling out process. Julio obviously has been the focal point of the majority of the offenses that he's been a part of throughout his career, rightfully so. He's a monster. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts because clearly the Bucs 1 and 2 is Evans and Godwin, and they've got Leonard Fournette back there. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what kind of formations they run. I think 4 wide receiver sets are going to be incredibly effective because you're going to be running out 4 really good guys out there. So I'm pretty excited for that, especially with Tom Brady out there, slinging the football around. Yeah, it's nothing but good news. Like Santiago mentioned, hopefully he stays healthy just because those hamstring issues are tough to deal with for anyone, but especially a wide receiver. You're making cuts, you're running routes and stuff, so that's really difficult to see. But yeah, hopefully if he's able to not have to carry so much of the load, maybe like you mentioned, he'll stay healthier. But Santiago, you got any kind of final thoughts on the Julio signing?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm just excited that we have another weapon, another top wide receiver. He's a legend. Obviously, like Carter was just saying, he was literally like the premier wide receiver, specifically when he was in Atlanta. He was like, every time Julio Jones, Matt Ryan are going to play the Buccaneers, whether it was up in Atlanta or here in our stadium at Ray J. So now he's on our side, and man, he's just a Pro Bowler. I mean, he has put up a lot of numbers, and yeah, again, let's hope I want him to stay healthy. Now let's hope. I want him to stay healthy and everything. So I know he will stay healthy. Like, they're going to keep him on track and everything. So, he came from Alabama. Alabama, every single year their players are entering the NFL draft like at rapid speed. Like they have such an amazing system down there. And he's 6'3", 220 pounds. He's a big boy. So, I want him to put his presence out there, and he's not going to be the main focal point like Carter was just saying. Like he's going to have Mike Evans is legendary. He's going to have Chris Godwin, who's coming back from a torn ACL. He's going to have other wide receivers as well that can make plays. So it's going to be a lot of fun this year to watch this group of wide receivers and our team in general just put up points. And I want to see a lot of points. I want to see a lot of points, man. What do you think, Musab?
It's going to be fun for sure. But guys, a little bit more fresh off the press was what wasn't so fun to find out was our center, Mr. Ryan Jensen, was carted off today after a significant knee injury. And it's a little bit unfortunate. Well, actually, very unfortunate, just because, I mean, this is Ryan Jensen we're talking about. This guy came back. Just thinking about our O line, we always want to have the best of the best. He's always balled out for us. I mean, everyone loves Ryan Jensen, but it's a little bit of a bummer just because now it's at least the impression I got. Slash, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I saw the video and it looked bad. He was, expressing a lot of pain through his screams, which I don't blame him at all. And at least, what we know, or at least what I've seen, guys, and by all means, feel free to kind of chime in as to whatever other information you have, is, he's expected to kind of go under some tests to see, how severe this is. But it's bad just because he was showing that he was in pain, guys. And, he's played through some serious injuries this season. He's crazy. Okay. He is definitely one of the best centers the way I see it in the league. We can't afford to lose him. So, Ryan Jensen, if you're listening to this, man, rest up, brother. We need you. But it just makes me think, I mean, what are we going to do now? Because, I don't know. I mean, if we're kind of thinking with a half glass empty kind of mentality, we may have to make a move. So I do want to kind of incorporate a little bit of a second half of our episode, which is, who remains, when it comes to our free agents or the free agents in the league as of right now. And this is something to think about. Carter, I want to start off with you. When this kind of news came out, what were your thoughts? Slash, do you think it's time to really think hard? Okay, well, we're looking at the free agents. OMG, this is looking a little ugly. Who do we have left that we can snag real quick?
Yeah, it's it's looking real ugly. The Ryan Jensen news is tough. No reports have been good. Adam Schefter says that his sources are saying it's not looking good at all. It's, he had to be carted off the field. I mean, that's never a good thing. And yeah, like you mentioned, they either have to turn to Robert Hainsey, the third-year guy out of Notre Dame, and I don't know that he's ready. I don't know that the Bucs want that. I don't know that fans want. No one really wants that. So I think they got to turn to free agency. They might trade for someone, although God knows who they'd trade for at this point. But realistically speaking, yeah, they'd probably have to go into the free agency route because it's looking like Jensen's probably going to miss an extended amount of time. He's a tough guy. So if he's in that much pain, it's probably not good. Like you mentioned, he hasn't missed a game in a Bucs uniform. So, this is just tough news. So yeah, it's definitely going to have to go the free agency route. The first name that came to my mind, I know a lot of Bucs people have been talking about him, is J.C. Tretter. He's been a Brown for the past 5 years. He's been their starter, kind of a mainstay of that offensive line. And, he was a really quality guy, really quality veteran. I'm kind of shocked that he's still available. But, the Bucs still have about $9 million cap space, so they can maybe bring him on and just kind of have him be, their center for this year. And hopefully Jensen doesn't miss the whole year. But if he does, Tretter will be that guy. But how about y'all? How are y'all feeling about the Jensen injury? Obviously, it's nothing good.
Yeah, it was tough. I cannot. We, as Bucs fans, we cannot deny, how amazing of a center Ryan Jensen has been for our organization, and protecting our diamond there, which is Tom Brady, and passing him and giving him the ball to make, So, let's say, yeah, I agree. You have to look to see what's out there in free agency at the moment to see what's there, and if it's J.C. Tretter, if Tretter's available, like Carter was just saying, looks like he's available. So, if the numbers are correct, if the numbers are right, and J.C. Tretter is on a plane tomorrow to Tampa or tonight, for example, let's see that. Hopefully, hopefully it's, if it's, they say it's kind of serious. Hopefully it's not super serious. Like, the only thing I can really think about is like a torn ACL, which he would be out for the season, of course, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a sprained. I don't know, knee. I really don't know. So hopefully it's not ligaments. But if it is, hopefully Robert Hainsey can possibly step up if there's really nobody, if there's nobody out there. Let's see, man. We have a lot of tremendous athletes and tremendous football players on our team, top quality. So our coaching staff and everybody, they'll do everything in their power to get the best player for us for the season.
Right on. And kind of just piggybacking off of you, Carter, this is looking ugly. We're gonna have to do something, and I have to say for sure, J.C. Treader was definitely those names, kind of being chatted around on platforms like Twitter. The way I see it is perhaps he might just be one of those kind of obvious guys now that we pick up. Perhaps I don't know. Should be cheap. And then on top of that, I would probably just say the other guy I could probably think of is just Eric Fisher. I mean, it's been ugly, guys, since like 2020 with him, but any depth is better than no depth, / less experienced depth. And again, that's what we're kind of looking at right now. Because Robert Hainsey is right behind Jensen, and he needs more time for sure. Haven't seen too much from him. I'm sure maybe there are reasons just for that, but we're going to have to make something happen just because, I mean, all these reports have been a little scary the way I see it. It's really concerning, and it's kind of worrying just because, I mean, something happens with, our offensive lineman, man goes down, we got to throw in someone else, a little slip, a little dink or doink over there. I mean, that's a great opportunity for those defensive linemen just to crush Tom Brady. We can't afford to see that happen at all for sure. So there you have it, guys. Those are kind of just my two guys. I would probably say at least, offensive line wise, but I do kind of want to go, back to y'all, give you all the mic back and say, okay, well, maybe anyone minus offensive linemen, who's your next guy that you're thinking, okay, sure, we'll get some kind of replacement, but who else remains that perhaps interests you, Carter?
Yeah, so I mean, there are still some pretty decent free agents out there. Couple guys come to mind. I mean, JPP, he was a former Buck. He's still unsigned. Obviously, we already discussed J.C. Treader. He kind of moves to the top of my free agent board after this Jensen injury because obviously you need a great offensive line to protect Tom Brady. JPP's up there. There's Trey Flowers. He's a former Lion and Patriot. He was a cap casualty by the Lions, but he's been a little bit injury prone. Trey Flowers has, so he would be more of a reclamation project. Another guy that I think of is Joe Hayden. He's a former Steeler and a former Brown. He's been a really solid corner his whole career. He's a little up there in age, so injuries are always a concern with guys like that. But he's been a quality corner, and the Bucs have obviously had a lot of problems with secondary injuries. So, he wouldn't be a bad guy to look at for sure. Those are my main guys. But, D Ford is another cap casualty recently. He was released by San Francisco, and the Bucs need some edge depth because right now it's pretty much JTS and Shaq. But if one of those guys goes down, they're kind of SOL. It's probably, I would look for another edge rusher, maybe Joe Hayden, like I said. But, the Bucs still have some holes to fill on the roster, unfortunately. So it would be interesting to see if they continue to fill their roster with free agency moves because they still have some cap available. But how about y'all? What are y'all's free agent targets?
I mean, I'm right there with you, Carter. I'm glad you kind of just brought up that the secondary unit definitely is interesting for sure. And I do just want to say, guys, I mean, we're gonna have to make the best out of this. So I am definitely thinking about cornerbacks for sure. But Santiago, is your head at the same place at least with this? Are you also thinking maybe minus an offensive line? Perhaps a secondary kind of player is needed, or maybe you're thinking something different. Do you have a guy or two in mind?
Well, honestly, gentlemen, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, of course. I mean, like, it's not easy. This is like the toughest pill to swallow. We were so excited when, Tom Brady came back and Ryan Jensen said, yep, I'm coming back. We're like, whoa, like that was amazing. Just that, and then he signed he signed not just a 1-year contract. Like he came back for a longer period of time. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see, JC Treader come, from the Browns. He's 31 years of age, so he's not super, up there in age, but if and JPP, he was a big part, and he's a local. He was at USF, he's from here, so definitely would love to see him back as well. Obviously, you were just talking about Musab, about possibly cornerbacks and stuff, coming in. Anything can help, you know what I mean? Like if there are certain areas that we possibly need to fill. We have plenty of wide receivers, but at this moment, no, I don't. I don't see it. I don't know. It's just we are super stacked overall. So I mean, I want to see what these young guys that we got in the draft can offer, and I'll stay with that.
I'm right there with you guys. And, while you were talking Santiago and, all this kind of, who remains talk, it just makes me think what remains in my wardrobe for this next season. I need me some cool designs. So, guys, I think I just may head on over to shop.rblrsports.com. Ladies and gentlemen, not many days remain till the start of the season. For that reason, the time is now. The time is to snag some awesome, sick designs repping your favorite football team, that favorite baseball team of yours, the favorite hockey team that you be watching, and even that favorite soccer team you got. All right. And of course, let me bless you with the little promo code that is Cannon, CANNONS, for 10% off your order. There is a link right in the description. Well, now that I've kind of told you what remains in my wardrobe or what I'm looking at, guys, I do want to discuss, what I'm thinking or where my head's at. And that is, well, look, we already mentioned the JC Treader. I already dropped down Eric Fisher, but Trey Flowers, I'm right there with you, Carter. I like that as well. He's a good player. The only thing is, it's just, he's been hit hard by injuries these past 2 seasons. But as I've already said before, I mean, this is like right before the preseason and regular season. Surely they have been kind of left, as a free agent as of right now for whatever reason, whatever these teams believe. But I see it as something, valid or reasonable. But I'm looking at the secondary for sure. Okay, my 2 guys are Kevin King and Janoris Jenkins, both cornerbacks. A little fun fact: Kevin King, his rookie year, kept now a current teammate Julio Jones from completing a catch on all 4 attempts. Okay. So, this guy's got something in him. Again, with a lot of these, people who remain, injuries have been a mess. Inconsistency is there. But I really do think that, this could be a depth piece to prevent any future kind of burn and crash sessions this upcoming season. Just because it's like almost every year we're dealing with some kind of issues in the secondary. And then on top of that, my next guy, as I was saying, Janoris Jenkins, I just think that he's just going to be a little bit more than anything. He's just going to be a boost. Okay. This is the same dude who racked up he's got racked up over 500 tackles, 27 interceptions. Okay. He just has those kind of stats that just say, okay, maybe we should give him a chance. He's still got something in him / it's better than nothing. And I don't mean to put down the rookies or whatever, but I'll take experience over anything. So as long as we keep him healthy, if he has maybe sort of a limited role, I think that we can make sure that he stays as healthy as possible. But yeah, those are my 2 guys, at least where I'm looking at for sure in the secondaries, just because, that kind of help is always needed. Is there anyone else that you maybe just think you thought of during this time that said, oh, you know what, I forgot that he's a free agent. Perhaps we could use him. Or maybe you think, yeah, we got a few holes. Sure, we got this Ryan Jensen news, so we're looking at our offensive lineman. I think we can all mutually agree that the secondary unit isn't all sunshine and rainbows, so the more the merrier. But is there any other position that maybe you say, you know what, it would be nice if we could just, add on a guy maybe for the experience slash, you know what, just give him the chance or something to see maybe if he's still got something in him. Carter, Santiago?
Not necessarily. I think there's a lot of solid young talent that the Bucs are going to want to kind of give a shot for the remaining positions. But like you mentioned, the secondary is a huge issue. I like the guys you mentioned. Chris Harris Jr. and AJ Bouye are also another couple of guys that I would maybe mention as secondary candidates. But yeah, I mean, if they are really looking to maybe add another depth piece, the interior defensive line might be a good place to start. Sheldon Richardson's the first name that comes to my mind. Feels like he's bounced around the NFL more than anyone else. He's played for the Browns, the Seahawks, the Vikings. I mean, it's just a multitude of teams. For a really good player, it's just really interesting that he's kind of bounced around so much. But yeah, he would be a solid interior lineman to maybe pick up just because, they don't have Ndamukong Suh. They signed Akeem Hicks, but with his injury history, it's tough. But yeah, for the most part, I think the Bucs roster is settled for the most part. Like we mentioned, the secondary could use some work. But how about you, Santiago? You feel like there are any positions the Bucs could really use some help with?
Well, honestly, the one position that I want to see, taken care of is the center position. That's what I want. That's the main one at this moment, to be honest with you. Again, if there's any other, we've named you guys, we have named, a lot of players, and, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are listening to our podcast, and following our insight, RBLR Sports, check us out. We can, get some more insight here. But that's what's on my mind right now, gentlemen. It's that center position. That's pretty much what I can think about.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about that primarily as well, but we'll have to see, how it works out, guys. Like I gotta say though, we got a lot of dudes that we have discussed throughout this whole kind of off season. We've snagged a lot of guys, whether that be just during free agency / the draft, and I don't know. This is going to be a competitive dogfight for sure for this kind of 53-man roster. I don't know. I mean, it's looking real interesting, and honestly, it just makes me more and more excited just to see what kind of competition is just within our team. And oh man, I don't know, just thinking about the depth chart right now, it's looking beautiful. It really is looking beautiful. But like with every other season, guys, my personal belief is that it's never always sunshine and rainbows. So things may happen here and there, but I do have a lot of optimism that even the backups and the other depth pieces, they can come through when needed be, of course. But guys, any kind of final remarks, kind of just reflecting on just everything we've discussed throughout this whole kind of off season with these guys that we've got? Do you maybe just have like a little quick hot take maybe for any of these guys saying, I think O'Keefe is going to completely dominate. He's going to get his chance and he is going to just be the starter, and Kyle Rudolph and Cam Brate might just be sitting on the bench the whole season? Something a little controversial, something to spice up this podcast?
Oh man, I hate trying to be, the hot take guy, but I don't know. I think my hot take for the Bucs going into this season is that I think Russell Gage is going to have 800 plus receiving yards. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think he's going to really explode. So yeah, that's my hot take. I think Russell Gage has an amazing season with the Bucs this year.
Well, I want to see, Chris Godwin come back and dominate. I really do. I want to see him, do well in these practices that are happening right now at One Buck over there in Tampa, and obviously Julio Jones, dominate like he used to. Like he's never, but now he would be dominating his old team, which are the Falcons, right? Haunting them. And then also Mike Evans dominate for another, historic season, I want us to, and then I want to see Leonard Fournette prove everyone wrong and be like, hey, listen, I cut the weight. Now I'm here to, and then dominate right there. So he can take, he can shove it back into the faces of the critics that told him like, hey, you're too big and stuff like that. Putting up memes and stuff like, now he's a professional. He's an athlete. So he knows how to take care of his body, and he loves that gumbo. Like I remember in last show, like obviously Musab was saying, how about that? That gumbo, I love gumbo too, man. And if it's spicy, the cooked the right way. Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, man, I want us to just have a good, awesome, training, so all the guys can feel each other out and compete and everything, and let's go Bucs.
Sheesh, Santiago, you got me a little bit hungry right now with all that gumbo talk. But I'll tell you this, guys, my little hot take is I think he's hungry. All right. I don't think he's going to take the starter role, but I think Rachaad White is hungry. I think he's going to lock in that backup running back position for sure. With all due respect, I think we've given Keyshawn Vaughn his time / we've seen what he can do. I think he has some certain skills that he can bring to the table. But I think that Rachaad White is going to be at least the new little Ronald Jones, or at least this, little Fournette Jones pairing that they had earlier. I think he's going to be the new guy. So then again, we'll see what happens and all that. We're always in for a treat with every single football season. But guys, it was a pleasure for sure. And listeners, I cannot end this episode without thanking all y'all. If you enjoyed our episode, then make sure to spread the word about us by all means, all right? And let me give you a few seconds right now before you forget to show that love, all right? Of course, and hit that like and subscribe button however you're listening to this. Social media enthusiasts, reminder, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we are there at RBLR Sports. Carter, Santiago, I said it in the start and I shall say it again. Listeners, are you ready? You better strap in and get ready because the RBLR Express is about to take a joyride down Buccaneers Boulevard, and every single one of you is invited. All right, so for that reason, stay fired up, stay ready, get ready to see some post-win confetti. Thanks again, listeners, and as always, go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.